Right now, the King of England is sitting somewhere in a palace he doesn't own. He's eating food he didn't choose, at a time his doctors decided, wearing clothes his staff selected. He cannot vote. He cannot say what he thinks about politics. He cannot walk into a shop and buy something with a credit card without it becoming a national headline. He is, by most definitions, one of the least free rich people on earth. Now, somewhere else, a billionaire is waking up whenever he wants. He's posting whatever he feels like on social media. He's buying companies for fun. He could fly to Tokyo tonight, eat at any restaurant on the planet, say anything to anyone, and answer to almost nobody. So here's the question nobody asks out loud. If you had to choose, right now, no going back, would you rather be the billionaire or the king? Most people pick the billionaire instantly, and most people are wrong. Because the answer reveals something deeply strange about power, money, and what it actually means to last. Let's start with the numbers. The King of England has a personal fortune of roughly $850 million. That's a lot of money. But in the world of modern wealth, it's almost quaint. There are hedge fund managers in Connecticut with more. There are 25-year-old crypto founders who could buy his portfolio twice over. By the metric of pure net worth, the king doesn't even make the top 1,000 richest people on the planet. But here's what makes it complicated. The Crown Estate, the network of properties, land and seabed rights tied to the monarchy, is worth over £16 billion. Buckingham Palace alone is valued at over $1 billion. The crown jewel sits somewhere between $4 and $8 billion, depending on who you ask. And the total value of the British monarchy, including brand, tourism and cultural impact, has been estimated at roughly $28 billion. The king doesn't personally own any of it. He can't sell it. He can't liquidate it. He can't take the crown jewels to a pawn shop. But he controls it. He lives in it. He wears it. And it will pass to his son and then to his son's son in an unbroken chain that has continued for over 1,000 years. Now here's where it gets strange. A billionaire can do almost anything with his money. He can buy an island. He can launch a rocket. He can reshape an entire industry overnight. But he cannot do the one thing the king does every single day without trying. He cannot walk into a room and have everyone stand. This is where most wealth comparisons fall apart. They measure dollars. They measure assets. They measure what you can purchase. But they never measure what a person represents. And the gap between having money and being an institution is wider than most people realize. Think about it this way. The King of England is immune from criminal prosecution. More than 30 different laws bar police from entering his private estates without permission. He is technically the commander-in-chief of the British Armed Forces. Every law in the country requires his formal approval to take effect. He cannot be sued. He doesn't pay inheritance tax. He legally owns every unmarked swan in open waters in England and Wales, and every whale, sturgeon and dolphin in surrounding seas. None of this costs him a penny. He was born into it, and no amount of money can replicate it. But that's only half the story, because here's what the king gives up in exchange. He cannot vote. Not by law, by convention. He and his entire family abstain from elections to maintain political neutrality. He cannot express a political opinion in public. When he was still a prince, he was called a meddler for writing private letters to government ministers about architecture and the environment. The letters were eventually forced into the open by a court ruling. The idea that the future king had opinions about city planning was treated as a minor constitutional crisis. And it gets stranger. He eats 2 meals a day, not by choice, but because for decades he considered lunch a luxury he couldn't fit into his schedule of duties. He only recently started eating half an avocado at midday, on doctor's orders, after being diagnosed with cancer. His schedule is not his own. In a single year, the royal household attends over 2,400 official events. Every handshake is photographed. Every outfit is analyzed. Every sentence is weighed for potential political implication. The billionaire, meanwhile, can tweet a meme at 3 in the morning and move a stock price by 8%. He can fire his entire board. He can say something outrageous at a press conference and call it disruption. He answers to shareholders, technically, but in practice, if he owns enough of the company, he answers to no one. So that settles it, right? The billionaire has the money and the freedom. The king has the title, but none of the power. Easy choice. Well, not quite. Because there's something the billionaire cannot buy at any price. And it's the thing that separates wealth from legacy. Permanence. The richest person in the world right now will not be the richest person in the world in 50 years. We know this because it has never happened. Not once in modern history has a fortune survived 3 generations at the top. Wealth dissipates. Companies get disrupted. Families fight over trusts. The grandchildren of titans become philanthropists or reality TV personalities, or both. That's the pattern. Every time. But the British monarchy has lasted over 1,000 years. Through civil wars, revolutions, 2 world wars, the collapse of an empire, and the invention of the internet, the crown has passed from head to head in an unbroken sequence. The institution adapted. It shrank. It became ceremonial. But it survived. And it did something no fortune has ever done. It turned a family into a permanent fixture of civilization itself. Now let's pause here, because the obvious counter-argument is, so what? The monarchy is a relic. It's tourism and tabloids. It has no real power. In a world where a single tech founder can influence elections, control the flow of information, and reshape how billions of people communicate, isn't the billionaire the one who actually matters? And honestly, that's a fair point, in the short term. But here's the part that most people miss. Influence and power are not the same thing. A billionaire has influence, enormous, world-shaping influence. But influence is personal. It dies when you die. It fades when the next founder comes along with a better product. It depends entirely on continued relevance. The king doesn't need to be relevant. He needs to exist. That's the entire job. The monarchy's power comes not from what the king does, but from the fact that the king is. He is a living symbol of continuity in a world that destroys everything it builds within a generation. And that kind of symbolic permanence has a value that no balance sheet can capture. Think about this. 300 years from now, there will almost certainly still be a monarch on the British throne. There is a 0% chance that any current billionaire's company will still exist in its present form. The king's great-great-great-grandchild will wear the same crown, sit in the same palace, and perform the same ceremonies that date back centuries. The billionaire's great-great-great-grandchild will be an unknown person living off a trust fund, if the money lasts that long. And that reveals something uncomfortable about wealth in the 21st century. We live in an era that worships disruption. We celebrate founders who break things. We admire speed, innovation, the ability to move fast and reshape the world. And all of that is real. All of that matters. But none of it lasts. The very force that makes a billionaire powerful, the ability to change everything, is the same force that guarantees his irrelevance in 100 years. Because someone else will come along and change everything again. The king can't change anything, and that's exactly why he endures. So would you rather be the billionaire? You'd have more money, more freedom, more ability to shape the world around you. You'd answer to no one. You could say what you want, build what you want, live exactly how you choose. But the moment you die, the clock starts ticking on how long anyone will remember your name. Or would you rather be the king? You'd live in a gilded cage. You'd eat what you're told, say what's safe, and spend your life performing rituals designed by people who died before electricity existed. But your name will be in history books that haven't been written yet. Your portrait will hang in a gallery alongside faces that stretch back a millennium. And the institution you represent will still be standing when every company on today's stock exchange is dust. The billionaire buys the present. The king inherits forever. And somewhere tonight, one of them is lying awake, wondering if he chose the right life. The strange part is, it's probably not the one you think.